The Het is the 8th letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and it has the numerical value of 8. So how is 8 important in Judaism? Well, there's several things that have to do with the 8. The Brit Milah, or the covenant of circumcision, when a child experiences a new beginning when they are circumcised, okay? Then there's Shemini Atzeret, the 8th day. In the high holy days, it's the last day, and it's also, according to the Zohar, Tzav 31b, it's a new beginning is made, okay? So 8 has to do with a new beginning. Hanukkah lasts 8 days, and new pure oil was used to celebrate in the temple service. So there again, the new pure oil had to be made in order to celebrate the Feast of Dedication at Hanukkah. So everything that I kept reading was like, it's about going beyond what is the normal, going beyond what is the natural, and it's something new that's going to take place. So the walkingkabbalah.com, the Het is the letter of life. We get the word Chaim from the Het. And it indicates the ability of a human being to rise and go beyond nature or the natural order of things. So it's related to the neshama, the soul. It's going above and beyond what the normal is, what the natural order of things are. It represents the power of choice, which is given to the soul. Het is like a revolving gateway, a power to enter a higher level, to enter the mysteries of one's soul, and then return to worldly consciousness. That made me think about the when we do the Amidah and we take our 3 steps forward and then our 3 steps back. It's like we're going into the kingdom, and we're getting everything we can from the kingdom, and then we bring it back to earth, to the present time. So it is the essence of a human being to break through nature to a spiritual realization. So Het should be teaching us to go beyond the natural, to go beyond, just the normal way of things and break into the spiritual. Okay. There's 2 words that start with a Het. The first one that I wrote there for you is the word hazon, which is a word for prophecy. And the second one is chokhmah, which is wisdom. Okay, so in both of those things, in prophecy, you're going beyond yourself and letting God show you something that is to come, that is in the future. Okay, and Chokhmah is going beyond our natural way of thinking and going into, a spiritual understanding of things, and that's where wisdom comes from, getting that spiritual understanding. So, true life. The Het, and then, they said hey or hes or het or high means life, but it's only temporal. True life is when we have God, the eternal, the immortal in our life. It's having a relationship with God through Torah that helps us to acquire that everlasting, that eternal life that we're seeking. This is just like when we close our eyes to do the first verse of the Shema that we talked about last week. We cover our eyes when we do the first verse of the Shema so that we focus on God and the eternal. We're focusing on the spiritual, on what God wants to show us when we're doing the Shema. So we close our eyes to the things that are passing, to the physical things, to the material world, to the temporary world, and we focus on God. So we're focusing on God and the Torah and the kingdom. And in this, our heart reaches true life. So, we see from the head that it means life, but in that life, it's only life when there's God as part of that relationship, integral to that relationship. Okay, so in Chabad.org, according to Rabbi Isaac Luria, was called the Arizal, the head is made up of two letters, the Vav and the Zayin. And we've spoken about both of those two letters, okay? The connection at the top of the Vav and the Zayin is like a bridge that unites the two letters. So you can see that het that I put there for you. On the right-hand side, as you're looking at it, there's your Vav. And then on the left-hand side is the Zayin, okay? And remember, the Zayin, that top part is like a crown. But there's this bridge that connects them. That's what makes up the het, okay? According to Rabbi Luria, okay? So the het, it also represents the Vav represents in the het represents the male or the husband, whereas the Zayin represents the female, the wife, and the bridge that links them is God. So when you look at the het, we are supposed to be able to see a man and a woman, and the thing bringing them together is God. That crown bringing them, together, that binding is bringing them together is God. And the woman, is safeguarding her husband. Proverbs 12:4 says, a virtuous woman is a crown, just like the Zayin, to her husband. So she's, not only does a man cover us and protect us, but a woman covers and protects her husband. Okay, so that's why I put the man and the woman in the right-hand side. It's like they come together and they create this bridge, but it is only through God, that bridge, can really, really work. So the het is also seen as another bridge, another type of bridge, because of its shape. So we see on the left-hand side, the shape of it, it's seen as a chuppah, okay? So that's why I have the couple underneath the chuppah there. And the Zohar tells us that prior to marriage, a man is only half of a person, and he finds wholeness or completeness when he meets and unites in marriage to his intended, to his soulmate, or to his bashert. With God integrally woven into their relationship, they will have true life. Okay, so that is, the most important thing that we're seeing. This constant theme pertaining to the head is life, and then now we're seeing it as a chuppah, which is life again with marriage. So everything it seems has to do with life. So het has the gematria, when we look at the Vav and the Zayin, 13, because the Vav is 6 and the Zayin is 7, so that equals 13. So other words that have the same gematria of 13 are the word ahava and echad. So when we are under the huppah, we have that ahava, that love, that again, that 13. Okay. But we also have that oneness where two are coming together and they are becoming one. But I want you to see something that is just so cool, I thought. In the word ahava, you have a smaller word within the word ahava, and it's hab. And it means to give. So from the het, as a shape of a huppah, we also learned that life is only life when we have love and are one or echad with God and or our spouse. Okay, so I don't want you to miss that. This is love between a man and a wife, but it is love between ourselves and God. Okay, it's a relationship of giving, of hab, because that is the true essence of true love, of true ahava. It is hab, giving. So we give of ourselves to each other through prayer, through covering, through love, through protection. This is what true love is, that giving. So in the relationship between, what is the relationship between het or high life being the 8th letter and the Brit Milah, the covenant of circumcision? So in Judaism, hopefully after marriage, there will be children to come. In Judaism, having children is so important because it ensures human survival and continuity. The Brit Milah, or circumcision, is a covenant with the children of Israel. Even though it's physically a covenant with the male child, it's a covenant with his seed. Just like, the children of Israel are the seed of God. So it's this covenant that goes, that is in each and every one of us, that he has that covenant with us, that we are circumcised. So when we become believers, okay, if you're not Jewish, you have that covenant, of circumcision, because your heart is circumcised. And I didn't put it down, but I believe it's in Isaiah where it talks about that even the earth will be circumcised, that the uncleanness will be cut away. So, we come to the Lord and we go through that circumcision, but it's in our heart. So Chabad.org says, Maimonides, the foremost authority on Torah law, said, although a person has fulfilled the mitzvah of being fruitful and multiplying, he's bound by rabbinic commandment not to refrain from being fruitful, excuse me, and multiplying as long as he is physically potent. For anyone who adds a soul to the Jewish people is considered as if he built the entire world. I thought that was amazing because it's like people are it's like, oh, you have a child. And in Judaism, it's like, it's such a big deal because that child will go on to have children, but that child will go on to continue in Judaism, to teach Judaism, to do the mitzvah, to do, and teach others about the kingdom, about God. And I just have to say, that's my Judah there. He was a baby. Anyway, in Judaism, every life or child is valuable. Life is precious. We have no idea what greatness each potential life has to offer. So we value all life. We're created in the image of God. Going back to the teaching of the Aleph, that we should be able to see the picture of God and oneness in everybody's face that we see. It's like we need to value the life. When you're valuing the people you meet, you may not see it right away, but just try to recognize God in them and try to see God's image in everybody's face. Therefore, you will be valuing that life. You'll be valuing God. So the Jewish Journal says that, oh, I can't see this because this is, how do you make this go up? Oh, well. If you can see it. No, it explains that the haroset that we just had at Passover, and you may still be having, has apples in the recipe. And it's to honor how those righteous women held the Jewish future together under the apple tree. Having children in Egypt was an act of heroism because it was a very scary time. They were abused and mistreated, and they never knew if they were gonna, what they would, be able to how they would be able to come out of the slavery. It says, under the apple tree I aroused you, in Song of Solomon 8:5. So every Jewish life represents the future. So I thought it was important to share this with you all, because every year we have Haroset at Passover. And like I said, we just, had our Seder, and the apples specific to the recipe is to honor the women. And although I didn't put it in here, I just want to share something that I just thought was so amazing. One of the things that I read this week was, the women basically donated their mirrors, okay, so that they could make the laver, right? And I know you've heard all of that, but it's so much bigger when you stop and think that the women would look in the mirror to beautify themselves so that they could, be pleasing to their husband, and therefore they would be able to have children. And yet what they did was they donated their mirrors, because what was even more important was doing the Torah and being able to act out the mitzvah, the mitzvot. So they donated their mirrors, which were used, for the labors. And I just thought that was so precious, because it was one kind of beauty, but the beauty that was even more amazing was the inner beauty. So Aish.com says, it is written concerning the Torah that she's a tree of life, Proverbs 3:18. And the first mitzvah, the divine mandate, which is recorded in the Torah, is the mitzvah to increase life, be fruitful and multiply, Genesis 1:28. Jewish tradition is that a child is a gift from God, but also one who will continue to carry on the Torah to future generations and thus the world. So a child is a gift from God, but it's a gift. A child is a gift to the family and to the community, because they're carrying on the Torah, and they're to, the future. And every time we see our children, just, it's like, that's the future. I'm not going to be here forever, but I can look at my children's face and I know that the future is there. I know I've planted enough of Judaism in them that they're going to carry it on to the future generations. So up at the top, we see the word high, and everybody's familiar with the word high. And it's the het and the yud. And the gematria is equal to 18. So 18 has become synonymous with life. And everything about het, everything that we've seen pertaining to het, has to do with life. It has to do with, you know, praising, and it has to do with prayer, and it has to do with being under a huppah. It has to do with honoring the Shabbat and honoring the things that God has given us as mitzvot to do. It has to do with children and children carrying on, you know, Judaism. So I just found the het to be so amazing because it is all about life, but true life, true life. And you know, I think about the world that we're living in right now, and you know, it's frightening because there's so many people that are not walking according to the ways of God. And you hear these things and you're just going, oh my gosh, you know, what's in store for the future? And yeah, prophetically, we have an idea, but at the same time, we have to hold on to what true life is, the eternal, you know, and I just want you to, you know, start focusing on that. So when you think of the letter het, think of, you know, that it goes above and beyond the natural. And it is like the spiritual, you know, what we saw at one of the very first slides, you know, that het is, it goes beyond the natural. It goes beyond, the natural way, the natural order of things. It is the spiritual. And life, true life, is the spiritual life. And true life is passing that on to our children. And that is what I have for you today.